We've come to the natural habitat of a BMW M140i to ask the important questions in life. Is an LSD really worth £1,500? Is sunset orange the best colour you can get on a 140i? And is an M140i still worth buying in 2025? Come with us on this journey and let's find out together. Did you know that we can communicate with BMW M140i's? I think it's trying to tell us something now, if you can hear it. Oh, it's saying it's hungry, it wants a McDonald's, so let's go get some food. Okay, so let's talk about LCI versus pre-LCI. So this video is going to be a bit of a buyer's guide. So this is an pre-LCI and this orange one here is an LCI. From the outside, there really isn't much difference between them. That's a shadow edition. This is a non-shadow edition. The headlights on this are slightly darker than this one. The alloy types are exactly the same. I do believe that the silver, this is called Glacier Silver, only came in the pre-LCI and not the LCI. The main differences of the car are the interior. So if we come inside, the pre-LCI will have the non-digi dash and the whole infotainment system and dashboard is slightly different. But it does have the main features like Harman Kardon, the lights, the wipers, cruise control, all the buttons are in the same place. The only real differences are mainly just the interior. And then if we just go to the rear as well, again, pretty much exactly the same as an LCI. So this is a completely stock car. Now, if we head over to what an LCI car looks like. So as you can see, the dash it's kind of like all one piece. You have the digi dials, which just gives it that slightly more modern edge. But it's mainly just the interior changes in an LCI. So again, not much difference between a pre-LCI and an LCI. So the 140 came out in 2016. It was the successor to the M135i. In 2016, 2017 was the LCI 2017 67 plate, then came out with the LCI version, which is this one. So this is a 67 plate, this is a 2017 plate. There are a few 2017 LCI versions knocking about, but predominantly they are 2017 67 plate, and they went up to 2019 before they discontinued the 140. So yeah, so in a nutshell, 16 and 17 are pre-LCI and 2018, 19 are LCI versions of the 140. Okay, let's talk a bit about the engine. So this is the legendary B58 engine. It's a 3-litre, 6-cylinder, produces 335 brake horsepower. Although most people who dyno them, they get a lot more than 335 brake. They probably get around 340, 345 brake, which is one of the weird things about the B58. It's actually undervalued. It's just an incredible engine, and most motoring journalists, it's probably in their top 5, top 3 engines of all time. The brilliant thing about this B58 engine is just how tunable it is. So this one's a completely stock engine. And then if we go to the Sunset Orange one here, which is a stage 2 car, you can see how this one's slightly been tuned. So you have the upgraded airbox, upgraded heat shield. This is a stage 2 car. This is producing around 460, 470 brake with some light hardware modifications like the high pressure fuel pump or sports cat. You can easily get these cars to around 480 to 490 brake horsepower, and it's not that expensive. A stage 2 map, let's say a Boot Mod 3 on MHD, is around £500, so it's really not that expensive, and you're at a car that's almost at 500 brake horsepower, which is why people love these tunable B58s. You can just get so much power from these engines. So a brilliant thing about these 140s are the engines, the 3-litre engine and their rear wheel drive as well. So big thumbs up on the B58s. Okay, so in terms of spec, let's just go over some of what spec you can get on a 140. There's not much you can do on the outside. I mean, for example, on this 140, this has a front splitter. That has some arch guards and some different mirrors, but that's all aftermarket spec. In terms of what you can get from the factory, the biggest thing that we look out for is ProNav, which is the biggest screen. For us, that is definitely a must. So ProNav, heated seats is very important. You get front and rear sensors, which are called park distance control, otherwise known as PDC. And that is just slightly below, which is that button there with P. So that's how you know if your car's got front park sensors. You have cruise control, which is just on the steering wheel here. All cars come with automatic wipers and automatic lights and the auto start stop system. Other important features are the Harman Kardon system, which are quite easy because they have the tweeters on the side. Folding mirrors, which are just on the window buttons there. This car doesn't have it, but electric seats is another option you can get. And it's very rare to get adaptive cruise control. This car doesn't have it, but those two blank buttons there, if it had adaptive cruise control, then that would be showing there. That are the main features you get on a 140. You do get other stuff like reverse camera, a sunroof, which is very, very rare. These two examples don't have it. And then electric seats, which I think I've mentioned. And then also sometimes these panels, this one's gloss black, they can also come in silver. That's the main interior spec options you can get on a 140. If you're looking to buy one, we'd recommend ProNav, Harman Kardon, heated seats as a minimum. Anything else like reverse camera, electric seats, sunroof, adaptive lights is also another option. That's a nice to have, but it's not that important. And then going on to this car, and as you can see, actually, that interior is coral red Dakota leather interior. The most common interior you get is black, and this interior option is oyster interior, which actually looks quite nice. I don't know how it comes across in the video and pictures, but in person, it's actually very nice. This car is very similar in terms of spec. You've got the gloss black trims, Harman Kardon, cruise control, ProNav, front sensors, heated seats. So this one's very similar in terms of specification. I actually do think, yeah, so this silver one actually does have adaptive lights. And the easiest way you know if adaptive lights, so it says BMW adaptive LED on the headlights, very easy way to know if it has adaptive lights. Whereas if we go into this orange one, which doesn't have adaptive lights, it just says BMW LED. And what the adaptive lights does is when you turn the corner, it just turns it with you and it's slightly brighter. So it's definitely a nice option to have. Let's just quickly talk about some of the modifications. So on this one, you have the double slat grille, which is quite an easy modification you can do. Just gloss black grills. It has the front splitter. You have this Zun Sport guard. We'll talk about some common issues, but there is a reason why people put this guard there. You have M4 style wing mirror caps, so it flicks at the end. Whereas on this one, which is completely standard, there's no flick, so it's just, that's completely standard. For some reason, this M badge here, you can get an M delete, so actually is an option to delete this M badge. I think it looks quite good with it on. And then on the rear, you have the rear spoiler, and this one has the rear diffuser and slightly bigger tips. You also have the black BMW ring around the BMW logo, which is quite a nice little modification you can do as well. And then if you go to the back of this silver one, you can see what a completely stock example looks like. So this is completely bone stock. Depends what you prefer. I prefer the slightly modified version, but of course, everybody's different. So that is some of the spec options you can get. In terms of colors, the main colors, so that one's sunset orange, this one's glacier silver. You get mineral gray metallic, sapphire black metallic, alpine white is also an option, Estral blue metallic is an option, and Melbourne red is also an option. So that is the main options you get on a 140. So some of the common issues on the B58 is a very, very reliable engine. And in the last 300 I've sold, there's only one engine has gone pop, and that is because of bad fuel being put in the car. So very reliable engines, but there are, I'd say, two common issues. The first common issue is the PCV valve. Now, the PCV valve is this bit here. I won't open it up, but if you open it up, sometimes there's a tear in the rubber and some thick white smoke and a squealing noise starts happening. And a lot of people misdiagnose that as a engine issue or head or turbo, whereas all it is a 5-minute fix. You remove the PCV valve, change the rubber, and it's all good to go. So that is actually quite a common issue, and a lot of the cars do have it. So that's the PCV valve. And the other issue that's starting to present itself, and this is only after 7-8 years of the car being on the road, is the injectors. So some injectors are starting to fail. However, so this is pre-LCI. In the LCI, BMW, there is some correspondence from BMW to say they have revised the injectors in the LCI. So that is why, if you're looking to buy a 140, I would definitely consider the LCI, even if it's slightly higher miles, maybe slightly more expensive, just because of those revised injectors. But a lot of people just change their injectors anyway, just because it is starting to become a common issue. Okay, let's talk about value and how expensive these cars are, or if they're great value for money. So let's say your budget is £25,000, you can get the best M140i for that much. That is low mileage, low owners, high spec, and a great color like sunset orange, and some great modifications. This car is actually up for sale for £23,000, but this has some brilliant modifications. It's low mileage, low owners, and it is a LCI. This car is for sale at £21,000, and the main reason it's for sale a little bit less is because it is pre-LCI. So what is a good budget for an M140i? Well, if you want a standard 140i with a decent spec, which includes ProNav, heated seats, Harman Kardon, maybe reverse camera, I would budget around £22,000. That will get you a 140 around the 40,000 miles, maybe 50,000 miles, decent owners with full service history, of course. So between £21,000 and £22,000 should get you a very good 140i with decent mileage. And if your budget is under £20,000, let's say £18,000, then you'd be looking at quite a high mileage LCI version, like 80 or 90,000 miles, or a slightly lower mileage pre-LCI version, which I would tend to go for, just because for £18,000 you can get a really nice spec pre-LCI, still with decent margins, still with decent owners. So the top end, £24,000, £25,000 for a 140. The bottom end, I would say £17,000, £18,000. Anything less than 17, 18, I don't think you'll be getting a great M140i. The next question is, do modifications make much of a difference? Depends on the main modifications. If it's stage 2 or stage 1 map, I don't think it adds a great deal of value. I think the body kits just make it a bit more saleable, a bit easier on the eye to look at, so it makes it a bit quicker to sell. The main modifications are going to be the LSD. So any cars that we're in with an LSD, we always add on quite a bit more money, because an LSD supply and fit is probably around between £1,200 to £1,500. So even if we add on £750 to the price of a car that has LSD, it's still such a great option to have. So just a bit more about the value. So let's say this car's £23,000. If I take you over to this M240i, an M240i is pretty much the same as an M140i, it's just a different shape. The specifications, colours, the engine is very similar. The M240i's are roughly the same amount of money compared to an M140i, but some people just prefer this shape. That's just personal preference. And then another option to consider is this M135i. Now this car is actually up for sale for £23,000. It's a 20 plate, it's done around 40,000 miles. Now if you were to compare this M135i against the Sunset Orange M140i, which one would you take? Well, this M135i is X-Drive. It's slightly more on the horsepower. It's got a lot more tech in it. The infotainment system's a lot more modern. The car's just generally a lot more modern. It's hard because there's the same money. A lot of people prefer the 140, but I can see that this would appeal to a slightly older person. So it's just something to consider. If you want to spend 23 grand on a 140, don't discount this M135i. Yes, it's a 2 litre. Yes, it's an X-Drive rather than a 3 litre rear-wheel drive. However, there are some benefits. It's a bit more modern. It's a bit more easy to drive. It has X-Drive. So yeah, don't discount this M135i, which is important to discuss when we're discussing the M140i's. And then finally, if you do have £25,000, then you have to bring the BMW M2 into conversation, which is this one here. Now, this one's a very low mileage example. This has only done 27,000 miles and is up for £28,000. But we do have a black one with slightly higher mileage, and that's also up for £23,000. So then the question becomes, would you rather have a slightly higher mileage M2 or would you have a lower mileage M140i? The M2 is a full fat M car. Some people would disagree, but it is a M car with a diff, bigger tyres on the rear, more horsepower, slightly sounds better as well. So again, you can't discount the BMW M2. So when you start talking about values, there's a few different cars you can have, and it just depends what you want. If you want a 3 litre rear-wheel drive car with the B58 that is easily tunable up to around 500 horsepower, then you want to go for the 140i. But then if you can stretch your budget just by a few £1,000s, maybe consider the BMW M2. So one of the biggest complaints people have about the 140 is that it's not practical, but let's just see how practical it is. So this is the size of the boot, and Mark, do you think you can fit in there?
Well, most likely yes, because I'm a midget.
Let's try. Oh wow. I think you can get at least 3 marks in there. So that is very practical. For the second practicality test, a lot of people say the rear seats are quite small. So let's see if I can jump into the back. And that's my normal seating position, by the way, at the front. So let's see if I can jump into the back. Well, as you can see, I can't, but that's okay because most BMW 140 owners don't have any friends anyway, so they don't actually need anyone in the back. Okay, now it's time for an actual useful practicality test. We're going to test the MPG of a stage 2 M140i versus a standard 140i in real world conditions. So we've reset the trip computer. So at the minute it's showing 23.3 MPG. So we're driving to our local town centre, where it's about 15 minutes away. Then when we reach there, we'll take an average MPG, compare it against what's claimed, and then do the same against the standard 140, and then just see actually what is the MPG. So we'll check back with you soon to see what the average MPG of this stage 2 M140i is. Okay, so we just come back from the town centre, about 15-20 minute drive. We did a very normal drive. As you can see, we only did 15.6 miles an hour, and the average we got was 22 miles per gallon. So, which isn't bad considering it's a stage 2 car. Now let's jump into our stock 140 and see what MPG we get on that.
Go.
Okay, so we just jumped into our silver 140, which is completely stock. let's go for the same drive as we did in our stage 2 one, and let's see what the average MPG is. Okay, so we've just done the exact same drive in our stock 140, and the average MPG on this is 24.5 miles per gallon. So it's not a massive difference, it's slightly more economical, but if you compare this, which is 335 brake versus 480 brake, I would have thought this would be a lot more on the MPG. Bearing in mind BMW quote the average MPG is 36. We didn't go on any motorway driving. However, 24.5 isn't too bad, but I'm really impressed with the MPG on the stage 2 one. So what this test shows is that even if you modify your car to 480 brake horsepower, it doesn't make much of a difference on the MPG figures. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that buyer's guide on the M140i's. If you have a BMW M140i to sell, please get in touch. If you have an M140i that you're looking to buy, please also get in touch. If you have any B58 to buy or sell, please get in touch. And we will see you on the next YouTube video. Thanks for watching.